Every season of Game Changer, there's at least one episode that really tests the limits of the production team. This was the one this season. I do feel a little like Icarus with this show. One day I'll burn up and fall into the ocean.
When we were in pre-pro meetings for this episode, I just was nervous that it wouldn't work. I will also happily admit that I was wrong.
When I was reading the script, Beat the Buzzer, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like 75% of our entire lift as a props department is this one episode.
This one's gonna hurt a little. This one's gonna be really tough.
It was super involved. There were so many functions we had to figure out, like mechanisms that actually had to work. As soon as we read it, we're like, okay, this is when you can kind of like get excited and have ideas and get creative.
What are you gonna do when this breaks? Let me guess, we dance for you to buzz in. Like your little court jesters.
I'm happy to do it.
The original pitch I think we were excited about was this idea like podium pandemonium, right? Where it's like all these different podiums.
And we thought, well, what if we rent out a cool manor, a big mansion, and we set these things up in various rooms?
I also loved the idea of really simple trivia. And the question is not, do you know the answer to this? You absolutely do know the answer to this. You just can't find the means of buzzing in to answer.
What sank the Titanic?
Beat the Buzzer was a very interesting one because anytime we leave the stage and we are filming elsewhere, that means we now lose that space for production.
This is also a practical workspace for the crew that's trying to make the show. If we want to shoot in a parking lot, that means that those valuable parking spaces are not usable. It presents some real, we'll call them logistical adventures that we all get to go on as a Game Changer production team.
We really stretched, I think, the limits of what we can stage in our humble studio, because we had 24 different buzzers, some involving guest talent, that we had to find ways to kind of hide in every little corner of our stage.
Looking for a buzzer, are you?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
We reached out to a few people to build these buzzers and wire them and code them. And we learned it is very difficult to make things wireless in a stage. We ended up with, I want to say 24 working buzzers, and we have one remote that controls all of them. And to activate them, Ash presses the button, and so we have a list of each buzzer in their location is connected to the numbers.
In order to make sure we captured every single buzzer being pushed, not only did we have the hidden cameras, but we had a designated follow camera on every contestant.
We had over 20 cameras for this episode. Very quickly in that game, some of them weren't even waiting. Like I remember Becca was just bolting from the podium as soon as she could even read the question herself.
And each contestant had a PA that was following them around, and they were all walking me like updates.
There was this like military level of communication going on. Who should talk when and how, and what the like kind of chain of command for all that was.
On top of activating, she also needs to know when someone presses a buzzer, so that way she knows to make the sound.
And we had like codes where we were like, okay, don't say anything until you say buzzer hit.
Go back to the stage, a buzzer's been found, because we didn't want players to continue working on their puzzles when it was time for them to go back to their podiums.
Me and Ash are tucked behind a couple of flags, just like watching people run by, and we're like, oh, okay, hold for that one, okay.
It was this very elaborate rigging electronic setup for all of these buzzers everywhere.
It's a lot of beep, 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 beep all day long of just, okay, activate, all right, sound. Every time they reset, we get maybe 2 seconds to be like, all right, calibrate.
Oh, there's a little zip. Oh my god.
I don't think this is part
No,
of it.
that has to be part of it.
It's just delightful, though. I painted those Russian nesting Sams myself, approximating his likeness on 2 little dolls. Made a tiny buzzer to go in the top. It's the same type of buzzer as the lapel buzzer.
There was a long moment where I was interacting with Reika directly wearing that pin, and she did not see it at all. She did finally, and she was the one to push it, but that was a really gratifying moment for me as a puzzle maker.
Do you have a buzzer?
A buzzer. I need to look for your books, young lady, in this little box.
My books?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had the idea of putting the buzzer inside a book.
Press Me by Richard Buzzer.
So we had to get like a 7-inch thick book. It arrived and we're like, okay, no problem. Like just cut out all the pages. And I quickly discovered that that was so complicated and time consuming. So it took me like 2 straight days.
And the contestant has to dig through a bunch of book titles through like a Rolodex, and you look for your book title and you say, hey, I want this book. I had a lot of fun writing those titles. I think there's like 100.
Hey, you guys, can I...
The couple making out, I don't know how that even occurred to me. What about something that would just make them kind of uncomfortable or have to encounter some sort of like social boundary and figure out how to navigate it?
The dorm room scene was especially funny because I think an actual couple was hired for that. Their job was like, to make out, be all over each other, to prevent the contestant from reaching the buzzer. The game goes on and we look at the monitor and they're like, they're still all over each other. They're having so much fun. And we're like, do they know that they don't need to do that?
Somebody's done this, right?
The QR code buzzer was extremely fun. We worked with a very talented programmer, Maddie, on those, dreaming up what those captchas could possibly be. The one that we ended up cutting because it was too hard was click on only the pairs of left-handed scissors.
Oh, whoa!
That's a buzz!
For the solar panel buzzer, I got to make a miniature set, which is my first miniature I've ever done. Just put tiny pieces of grass on a foam board and put a tiny cow, a tiny sheep, and then eventually a buzzer. There's tiny little solar panels, and then there's an actual solar panel block that you can use to charge your phone. So it's my phone charger now. And so my phone just sits in this grass field and is charged by the sun. D20, hit me up.
Oh my God!
We built an entire mirror maze in the studio just for this one bit that is maybe 15 seconds long.
And I think we built it in 3 days, which is actually really impressive if you know anything about building mirror mazes, which I did not, and now I do. Then I walked in and thinking that it wasn't gonna work on me, immediately crashed headfirst into one of the mirrors. Clearly it worked. The illusion was complete. We got to take a lot of fun selfies in there.
Oh, shoot.
Dude, I'm legitimately lost now. Just look at the ground.
We built frames around some portions of the maze that were basically windows that had 2-way mirrors so that cameras would be on the other side of it.
I guess this is kind of like a one-stop shop. You can really order one item from them and then you kind of don't get the order from them again.
I hear that they're so popular that they sell out of their inventory quickly.
I'm a glutton for this collection of talent, meaning the talent from the 7. I think that as far as Dimension 20 to Game Changer crossovers is concerned, that energy, that sort of chaotic energy is perfect for our show.
I go off a Eurocentric map, thank you very much. Oh, and everybody loves to brag about that.
Game Changer episodes are always a lot of work for somebody. The question is it a lot of work for me? Is it a lot of work for the art team? Is it a lot of work for the cast? This episode was a lot of work for the art team and the cast, as well as the PAs and the crew. For me, ooh, a cakewalk.